Hello, Gaz Williams here for Sonicstate, and in this SonicLAB special, we're going to be looking at the brand new, it's a Steinberg UR-RT4 audio interface. Now, UR-RT is a bit of a mouthful, so I'm going to call it the UR-RT, so the UR-RT4. And now, this is Steinberg's latest offering, and what gives it its kind of special feature is that it features Rupert Neve Design's transformers, and this is a 4-channel preamp, and there's one there's one transformer per mic channel, and you can see Steinberg are obviously very pleased about this hookup, because when we look at the box, you can see there's some pictures of the transformers there, and over here there's some more pictures of the transformers, and here there's some schematics of the transformers. So what is this business about the transformers? Well, here is the unit here, and we can see these little slots, and if you peep through those slots, we can see the transformers inside there too. So I don't know if those are vents or if they're just simply little viewing windows to see these transformers. Now, this audio interface is around the £500 price point, and that's quite a heavily contested price point. There's lots of other audio interfaces at that point, you know, some with similar feature sets. So the special selling point is indeed these preamps with these transformers. Now, we can see at the front, these switches switch them in and switch them out. So, and like literally the preamps then, these are the Yamaha Dsps. Now, these Dsps are really good. And if you look at this video here that we made as a review of the UR-22 Mark II, I recorded an entire song using those preamps, and I was really impressed with those Dsps. So this box has already got that as a starting point. So these Neve transformers we can switch in just give those preamps an added extra quality. Now, before we get too far stuck in, we're just going to have a little look at what we've got. Like the UR-22. There's like if you're ever in need of a cowbell, you can use the casing. But yeah, as I say, we've got 4 preamps with phantom power on switchable pairs for 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. There is also around the back here there's an extra input. So this is actually a 6-in, 6-out affair. Line outputs in there's your main out there, and there's an extra 2 pairs of outputs. We've got MIDI on DIN, switchable phantom powers, as we say. This is a USB 2 device, and it's powered by 12-volt power supply. So this will not be isn't powered by USB. You do need that extra power supply. That may well be because these preamps and the transformers may need the extra juice. So that's the essential thing here. On the front, though, we can also see there are 2 independent headphone outputs. And those headphone outputs, you can have different mixes coming out on them. And we'll look at that because there's a few extra features that this offers, which is accessible via software. Okay, so as I mentioned, this is around the £500 price point. They do offer the UR-RT2, which is just a 2-channel version. It's only got the 1 mic out. It doesn't have the extra outputs, but it does also have MIDI on DIN plugs, which I always like to see. Right, so looking now, we'll go onto the screen here. What I've got here is a little demo project that I recorded where we are switching the transformers in and out. So if I play the track, if you watch the video, we'll see where I switch them out. So let's just play this now. James Phillips on the kit. So here they go. Okay, I'll switch them out off the snare, take it off the kick, and off the overheads, on the kick, and the snare. Let's bring those overheads back in. Yeah, so you can hear it does make a difference. It is quite a strong difference, I think, even though it's a relatively subtle thing, but I think it does make a difference. What I would say is that it does impart a certain flavour, and in the most, that flavour I think you're really going to want. But if you are looking for a much more neutral sound, then, you know, that's a good reason to maybe switch them out. And I've been recording a whole song, and each time I'm laying down a new part, I'll decide whether whether I want that in and out. And I think that is really cool, because there is a tendency to think, why on earth would you not want to switch them out? But those Dsps are really good. So, you know, it's almost like having, you know, a different choice of preamp. Okay, so I'm going to bring in a new project, this song that I've been working on, and this gives us a few, let's have a look now. So we're just going to load that in. Okay, right, so one thing I didn't mention is that this unit does have some DSP processing as well. But don't get too excited, it's not like a UAD type of platform. It is, but it does give you like some Yamaha created DSP effects. Now, if we look on this second monitor here, in our Cubase mixer, there's a new thing along the top here that says hardware. Now, this has appeared because it's detected that the UR-RT is connected. So now if we open this, we can see that we've got these kind of like channel strip things here. But what's nifty is we can decide, this little toggle control here can decide whether our this like thing down the right hand side here is what feeds the input channel, and we can decide if I toggle this down here one step, then it gives us our channel strip for monitoring purposes, and then if I pull it down one more time, then it actually routes the output through so we can use our channel strip processing and record it. So if I click on our little edit button here, and then it opens up this little panel here, which we can see, let's just move that over here. This, you know, we've got our compressor controls and an EQ. So it's quite a simple channel strip. But this thing here is kind of what they call the morphing compressor strip. So we can see as I change that it does different things to the EQ and compressor settings. Also, up the top here, I can come down to my engineer presets, and then there's a load of presets to get you going. So if I wanted to sort of bring in, like I say, a bass one here, then we've got these here, and this is all kind of geared for a bass guitar. And I've got a bass guitar here, and so let's have a look now. So now that's without, actually this is without the transformer, so switch that in. It's quite nice. That is nice. It works really nice on bass. So it gives a little bit more bite, a little bit more character. Right, so let's have a look at this channel strip. So like, yeah, so with this in the setting as it is now on here, then this is routed through to record, and turn the input drive up a little bit, move this over. So you can hear a bit of that distortion there. Let's back off the drive a little bit. So as you change this morphing, it just goes through a whole bunch of tones. It's like a nice deeper sort of EQ sound in there. Let's take this even more so. So even though it's quite simple, it does offer quite a bit of tonal variety. Let's just switch this thing out again. If I'm holding a note and press it in, you can hear it kind of clicking a little bit, but that's just, I guess, because it's routing the signal through it doesn't click if you're not playing anything through it. A little harder to hear the difference with all that extra EQ coming through, but it still does make a difference, and I still prefer it in. But it's not a given that you want to switch that in, and I think that is what's cool. As I say, you know, in my recordings, recording acoustic guitar, I think it sounded nicer personally with it switched out. I think that's partly because it was maybe pulling a bit too much of the metallic sound of the acoustic guitar, which was something I was trying to avoid. However, we can see that that is that is a user option, and that's cool, rather than them not putting those switches in and just assuming you want to have those transformers on. Okay, but looking back to this though, there is another thing, and that is it does have a reverb send, and this reverb is like the kind of Yamaha job. If I open it up here, it's the Rev X, which is actually quite a complex reverb, really, with lots of it's a great reverb. So it's nice to see that. But that's it. That's all the DSP that you've got, really. Is just that sort of simple channel strip. Unfortunately, that channel strip doesn't have a gate, which is a bit of a shame, because that would make it really nice for doing podcasting stuff. But oh well, bit of a shame. But oh yeah, I should mention as well though, if I take the switch to the top, that gives us the option to apply input phase and a fixed high pass filter as well. So, but it's cool because that is hardware monitoring, but within inside of the Cubase environment, and that is exclusive to the Cubase family, so Nuendo and Cubase, but it does actually come with a copy of Cubase AI, which is obviously a cut down version of Cubase, but it does mean at least you can experience this this kind of hardware integration, should you if you're kind of interested to investigate that. But the UR-RT, the UR-RT, is fully compatible with every other piece of music software out there, but this kind of hardware implementation is a Cubase speciality. Okay, so if we're using the UR-RT without Cubase and we're using it just as our regular desktop interface, or using it with any other kind of music software, any other DAW, then this is how you would access the DSP. When you're using Cubase, all of these controls are grayed out. You need to use Cubase to access them, but this is how you get at these if you want to use it in any other way. And it's the same, we can see the same thing. These switches here are like the hardware controls to get at the filters and the phase controls, and we can also open up our DSP. This is our little channel strip thing. And it's all kind of rendered in this rather 90s kind of chic. It looks a little bit dated, but hey, that's pretty cool though. The functionality is good on it though. So we talked about that. We've talked about the features that it's got. Something I haven't mentioned, and I think is one of the really good strong points of this, is not only does it work with computers, with desktop computers, it actually also works with iOS devices, which, hooray, is really cool. So when I'm using it with a computer, I am actually using it with a driver that I've installed. But if I didn't install that driver, it still would appear as a class compliant device. And that is brilliant, because being class compliant means that you can use it on an iOS device. Obviously, you need the ubiquitous Clagnut there, the camera connection kit. It's a bit of a bugbear, but however, it does at least allow it to work. I'm using it with just the normal one here, but it will also work with the wider one, which, if you want to, that allows you to power the iPad as well as having it connected. So I'm just going to switch that over to the iPad, because it's quite cool, because there is an app that you can get which allows all of that DSP functionality to be able to use that on the iPad as well. So just allow me that. I'll just switch over. So here I'm inside of Steinberg's Cubasis. I have to say, Cubasis is just getting better and better all the time, and this actually integrates beautifully into it. So we can see, if I was to select this kind of kick track and come into routing here, I can go in here and the 6 inputs are available. And just so I mention though, that those inputs, the 4 inputs, it's only the 4 that have the Neve. The line inputs at the back there don't. Even though they don't have the Neve, they do have the DSP capability, and we can see that now. So as I mentioned, this is that little drum session that we just saw earlier, a little clip of. But if I switch over now to here is the little applet that allows you to set up your kind of monitor mix, and we can see analog 1 through to analog 6. So these are our first 4 which have got the Neve pre's. Obviously you can't switch the pre's from there, that is a manual switching, but everything else is available from here, including the ability to do whether you actually say, look, FX record on, FX record off. So you can print your recording through that DSP, which is really cool. Especially because if we look in our channel strip, and this applies to the guitar as well, apart from the channel strip, you actually also, I forgot to mention this before, you've actually got 4 guitar preamps as well. And then that, I think, are based on Yamaha's, very, very good guitar models, actually. So these are, so this is great. So this means, from an iOS point of view, you've got hardware, no latency hardware DSP with some nice guitar stuff that you can then record in your software. So you don't need to use Cubasis to use this. You can use this with any iOS software, and because this app is separate from the iOS, it means that this functionality is available for any software that you want to use on the iPad. As I mentioned, the things like, for instance, the low cuts and that sort of stuff is all accessible from this, not from the panel itself. And we can also see that we can get at the whole Rev X reverb again, which, this is, as I say, a very high quality reverb, which is very cool. Also down here, we can see that the phones, well, at the moment, this is showing that we've got like a mix 1 and a mix 2, and we can decide whether the phones 1 or phones 2 can have a different mix. And basically it's just a duplicate set of settings, so to allow maybe the engineer to have a more technical mix, and the talent can have their own personalized mix, just to help them try and sing in tune. But yes, so that's pretty much it really from the iPad sort of integration. You can see it's fairly straightforward. So, I mean, other than a little demonstration, that's more or less it, I think, for today. I think this is a really impressive audio interface. The fact that it works with iOS is a major, major benefit. And these Neve transformers, that is, I mean, for essentially like, Neve Yamaha hybrid preamps at the price point, I think is excellent quality. I mean, this would be a really, this would be a contender without those without those transformers. So putting those transformers in really takes this really up to the sort of top of the class, I think, or certainly amongst the very best out there. So well done, Steinberg. So I think we'll just finish off with a song that I've made that uses the interface exclusively. Everything that you hear now is going to have been played through these in the most with the transformers on everything. This one thing without. See if you can spot what that is. Okay, I'm Gaz Williams. Hope you've enjoyed this. Catch you next time.
Mind over matter when you haven't got a friend. Sit right down in a holly bush with a prickle and a pen. If you find what you're after, then go right back again to that same old bush with the funny looks from the piglets and the hens and the weary Morris man. Cock robin has been shot at noon. No mammal was aware by who. Was he shot for his skin or bread? Was he better off dead? I am the captain, and I'll take it off from here. I can't find who he was talking to, just a minute for his end. His death was natural, there's no conspiracy. So why don't you switch back the tune to the cheery one again? Ignite the Morris men. Cock robin has been shot at noon. No mammal was aware by who. Was he shot for his skin or bread? Was he better off dead? Well, I can't afford a camera, I would have caught the shot. A television mogul would have given me all he's got. Instead I sit and wonder how Robin met his end. A hero now among us, our feather-footed